Good morning, everybody. It's Miss Catherine again here for Sunday School. I'm happy to be with you again this Sunday morning. Before we get started, I'd like to start the way we do most Sunday School classes in the atrium. Let's get our heart and our mind centered and ready for the lesson. So if you will, sit real tall and shut your eyes and put your hands in your lap. Take a couple deep breaths with me. Great. Thank you very much. Today is Pentecost Sunday, in which we celebrate the coming of the Holy Spirit. On Pentecost, you'll notice that there's a change in the sanctuary and in the atrium. We changed the colors to red. Red is the color of the Holy Spirit days. The Holy Spirit is God's power. We see that power when Jesus comes to earth. When Jesus came to us, a beautiful light shone down into this world, and it drew people to it, and people were healed by it. That is why we call Jesus the light of the world. In this light, we see God's power. I'm going to tell you a story today about how we receive God's gifts and power. I'm going to read to you from the Bible, from the book of Acts. When the day of the Pentecost had come, they were all together in one place. And suddenly, from heaven, there came a sound like a rush of violent wind, and it filled the entire house where they were sitting. Divided tongues, as of fire, appeared among them, and a tongue rested on each of them. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other languages, as the Spirit gave them ability. Now there were devout Jews from every nation under heaven living in Jerusalem. And at this sound, the crowd gathered and was bewildered, because each one heard them speaking in the native language of each. Amazed and astonished, they asked, "Are not all those who are speaking Galileans? And how is it that we hear, each of us, in our own native language?" Parthians, Medes, Elamites, and residents of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, Egypt and the parts of Libya belonging to the Cyrene, and visitors from Rome, both Jews and proselytes, Cretans and Arabs, in their own languages, we hear them speaking about God's deeds of power. When Jesus left the disciples when he was resurrected, he gave them a job to do. But the disciples didn't know how to do it, and they didn't have the right tools to do the job. So they had to wait. Until one day, a strong wind came and pillars of fire danced on their heads, and they knew the Holy Spirit had come. They knew they could do their job now. So they began teaching and preaching. They began to speak to the gathered crowds, and many people came and joined the church that day. The Holy Spirit gave them what they needed when they needed it, just like the Holy Spirit can do for us now, today. The Holy Spirit has many gifts, not just one. Would you like to receive the gift of the Holy Spirit? Let me tell you about the gifts of the Holy Spirit that the Holy Spirit gives today. The first is piety. Piety is so we can love God and all people. The second is knowledge. Knowledge so we know God more and more every day. Next is wisdom. Wisdom so our inner selves may know joyfully God's goodness. Next is understanding. Understanding to shed light on us so that we may know more about God. Fortitude. Fortitude so that we are strong in God. Fear of the Lord. This doesn't mean to be scared, but it means to understand our right relationship with God. And last is counsel. So we know what should be done and how to do it. How would you like one of these gifts from the Holy Spirit today? Which one do you need? Do you need more than one? The Holy Spirit can give you any and all of these gifts whenever you need them. In a minute, I'm going to snuff these candles. And even though I snuff them, it does not mean that these gifts go away. They stay bright in our hearts. I hope you all have a great Pentecost. I know we'll be seeing each other real soon, and I can't wait to see each and every one of you. Know that you're in my heart. Goodbye.